Peaches was not a typical teenage mammoth. She slept in trees and swung from branches like her mother, Ellie, who had been adopted by possums as a child. Peaches' best friend was a mole hog named Louis. She also had a very unusual family. Her mother, her 2 possum uncles, her father Manny, and his friends Sid the sloth and Diego the saber-toothed tiger. Peaches wanted to fit in with the other teenage mammoths, though, especially a handsome one named Ethan. She was frustrated when Manny said she couldn't go to a popular hangout spot called the Falls.
Okay, so tell me.
Peaches asked her father.
When exactly will I be allowed to hang out with boys?
When he was dead, Manny said, plus 3 days, just to be sure. Unexpectedly, Sid the sloth's family showed up. They had abandoned him years ago, but now they said they wanted Sid to see his granny before she died. Granny was perfectly healthy. The family was just trying to get rid of her so they could travel faster. The ground was breaking up where they came from, they said, and they were trying to get away as quickly as possible. They asked Sid to show Granny where she could nap and then took off without saying goodbye. While everyone was distracted, Peaches sneaked off to the falls. Manny found out and followed her there. He ordered his daughter to go home and told her she was grounded. Peaches was furious.
How could you embarrass me in front of my friend?
She demanded. Manny said he was trying to protect her like a father is supposed to.
Well, I wish you weren't my father,
Peaches said. Suddenly, the ice between Manny and his family cracked and turned into a huge gorge. Manny tried to get back to them, but it was impossible. He, Diego, and Sid were being washed out to sea. The ground on Ellie and Peach's side was endangered too. Manny spotted the land bridge that seemed to be stable and told them to head for that. He would meet them there somehow. No matter how long it took, Manny promised he would find them. Peaches was heartbroken.
What if I never see him again, and the last thing we did was fight?
She worried. Ellie assured Peaches that her father was the toughest, most stubborn mammoth ever, and he would come back for them. But inside, Ellie was worried too. She organized the animals in the valley and got them moving toward the land bridge. Peaches wouldn't leave until they found her friend Louis the mole hog. He was grateful.
You don't leave a friend behind,
she told him. A strong current pulled Manny's iceberg out to sea, despite his best efforts to paddle back. Then the storms started, first wind and then lightning. Their berg rolled over and plummeted down a tidal wave. Finally, a huge waterspout picked them up, lifted them above the clouds, and dropped them down into calmer waters. When the excitement was over, Granny popped her head out of a tree. She had slept through all of it. Sid was delighted that she was alive and with them. But Granny required a lot of looking after. She walked off the side of the berg and had to be rescued, and she kept searching for someone called Precious. The others assumed this must be a long-dead or imaginary pet. For a long time, there was nothing but open sea. Then a huge iceberg shaped like a ship emerged out of the mist. Bone grappling hooks shot from the ship onto the friend's berg, connecting the two. The ice ship belonged to pirates under the command of an orangutan called Captain Gutt. He wanted them to join his crew, but Manny refused. Nothing was going to keep him from getting home to his family on the mainland, he said. Captain Gutt told him there was no way home. Flynn, a helpful, dim-witted elephant seal, piped up. He reminded the captain that you could easily sail to the mainland if you caught the current at Switchback Cove. The pirates captured Manny and his friends and tied them up. When Manny still refused to join his crew, Captain Gutt ordered Sid and Granny to walk the plank. Manny struggled against the vines that held him. As he worked, he scooted Diego close enough to the rigging to cut a vine that supported the mast. That loosened it. With a huge burst of strength, Manny ripped the mast from the deck. The ship broke in two, and the pirates' half was not big enough for them all. Flynn started to panic, saying they would all drown. Captain Gutt reminded the elephant seal that he was a sea creature and ordered the crew to climb onto Flynn's back. Shira the tiger wasn't with them, but Gutt didn't care enough to look for her. Manny and his friends found Shira struggling in the water. They offered her a ride, joking that she could join their scurvy crew now. Shira was not happy about it, but she needed help. The ice raft was melting quickly, so they were all relieved to spot land. They rushed ashore. Captain Gutt had gotten there before them. He was forcing some hyrax, cute little creatures who lived on the island, to build him a new ship. Beyond Captain Gutt was Switchback Cove. Flynn had been right. The current there caught pieces of ice and sent them in the direction Manny wanted to sail. If only they had a ship. Manny's plan was to steal the pirates' ship, but they could not do it alone. Sid figured out how to communicate with the rest of the hyrax on the island, who were eager to help free their friends from the pirates. It was settled. They would attack at dawn. Shira tried to get away to warn Captain Gutt, so the friends had to lock her up. That night, Diego tried to talk Shira into leaving the pirates. He told her that life in his herd was much better. Everyone looked out for each other, unlike Gutt, who had abandoned Shira. The herd had each other's backs, he said, and she could join them. But in the morning, Shira escaped and ran back to Gutt. He was outraged when she admitted she had seen the mammoth but had not attacked him. Gutt made Squint the rabbit first mate instead of her. He also made it clear that if she let him down next time, she would pay a heavy price. Suddenly, the hyrax attacked. Some marched toward the pirates carrying long spears. Others swooped in on leaf planes. The pirates laughed and got ready for what they thought would be an easy fight. But it was all a trick. The hyrax on the ground used their poles to vault onto their friends' leaf planes and flew off. What the pirates had thought was Manny turned out to be a decoy made of sticks and leaves. The real Manny had sneaked around them and was about to board their ship. Meanwhile, Diego freed the captive hyrax. They snuggled up to him in gratitude, but there wasn't much time. He still had to get to the ship. Sid and Granny untied the vines that held it. Manny jumped aboard, and Diego raced alongside as the ship headed toward the current. Shira tackled Diego. She said she had to stop him for the pirates, but Diego convinced her to run away with him instead. As the two tigers were about to leap to the ship, Shira saw Captain Gutt racing toward them. She blocked his path, giving Diego the time he needed to escape. She told Gutt it was an accident, but he didn't believe her. Captain Gutt was beside himself with rage. He tore off part of the glacier with his bare hands to use as a ship. He said that Manny had taken everything from him, including his crew's loyalty. He swore to destroy the mammoth and everything that he loved. That night, Manny and his friends saw visions of those they loved. They heard beautiful singing. Diego thought he saw Shira beckoning to him, and Manny thought he saw Ellie and Peaches. But Ellie said Manny was always right, and he knew she would never say that. This Ellie was a fake. Manny realized they were being drawn in by the sirens, monsters who take another shape to lure sailors to their doom. He stuffed seaweed in his ears and sang loudly to drown out their call. Then he grabbed the rudder and turned the ship away. Back in the valley, the animals had stopped to rest for the night. Although she was worried about her dad and about getting to the land bridge in time, Peaches was happy. Ethan, the cute mammoth, had asked her to walk with him the next day. Ellie was glad Peaches was happy, but warned her not to let anyone change who she was.
I think I'm gonna sleep down here tonight,
Peaches said.
Night, Mom.
She looked into the distance.
Night, Dad.
Ethan and the other teen mammoths teased Peaches about hanging out with a mole hog, until she said she wasn't really friends with Lewis. He had been burrowing along nearby and heard her. Peaches was embarrassed and sorry she had hurt his feelings. Ethan said she shouldn't be with someone so uncool. It was bad enough, he said, that her family was half possum. This made Peaches angry.
Bad enough? There is nothing bad about being part of my family. I like hanging by my tail,
she said.
And if you geniuses are normal, the species is gonna end up extinct.
Then Peaches realized they were all in trouble. The land bridge was gone.
But we were supposed to meet Dad here,
she said.
What are we gonna do?
The continent behind them was breaking up, and their escape route had disappeared. They were trapped. Manny's boat was coming into more familiar waters. Granny didn't notice. She was too busy throwing fruit off the side. The others told her she should only throw imaginary food to her imaginary pet, Precious, but Granny ignored them. Then Manny saw that the land bridge was gone and everything else was in pieces. Where was his family? Manny called and called for them. It looked hopeless, but he refused to give up. Then Manny heard Peaches call,
Daddy!
He was overjoyed until he saw that she and all of the animals had been captured by Captain Gutt and his pirates.
Let go of me,
said Peaches, struggling. But Gutt held on to her and waved a dagger at Manny, challenging him to come and fight. A small voice piped up and Lewis challenged Gutt instead. The pirates laughed at the tiny mole hog. Lewis distracted them by throwing a knife in the air, then tunneled to the captain's foot and jabbed it with a sharp icicle. Gutt howled in pain and let go of Peaches. Manny and Diego rushed into the fight. Shira tried to untie Ellie, but the other pirates attacked her. Peaches climbed up in the rigging and swung across to reach Ellie, just like she used to swing from the trees. Manny warned her not to. It was too dangerous.
Not if you're half possum,
she said, freeing her mom. But Gutt was determined not to lose this time. He fought viciously. Manny and his friends were pushed closer and closer to the edge of the ship. Then, an absolutely enormous whale appeared right beside them. It was Granny's pet, Precious. Sid climbed in the whale's blowhole, and when she spouted, he directed the spray. They took out the pirates one by one with their whale and sloth water cannon. Manny and Gutt were separated from the others, fighting on an unsteady piece of ice, and Gutt was winning. But Manny used the unstable footing to his advantage. He stomped hard on the ice and sent Gutt flying toward him. Then he swung his tusks and the pirate flew far off into the sea. Even farther out to sea, Gutt heard a voice singing. It seemed to be a beautiful orangutan calling him to rule the seas with her. He followed. And that was the last anyone ever saw of the evil Captain Gutt. Precious picked up Manny and he rode triumphantly back to join his family. All the animals cheered, but they still had a problem.
Our home is gone,
said Peaches, voicing everyone's concern.
Where do we go now?
Precious seemed to know the answer to that. She pushed the ice ship to a lush new continent. The Hyrax had already flown there in their leaf planes and settled in. They offered a warm welcome to everyone. Peaches and Lewis couldn't wait to explore, but first she had something to say.
I can't believe you did that for me. Thank you.
Lewis said someone once told him that you never leave a friend behind. The other mammoths wanted to hang out with Peaches and the brave mole hog. Manny told them to enjoy themselves. Just be back by sunset, he said.
An hour after sunset?
She wheedled. Okay, Manny agreed, but not a minute later.
Deal.
Peaches smiled.
I love you, Dad.